We have three very unique perspectives.
The fourth dimension is the world that is inside of you, which is driven by your beliefs. And the fifth dimension is called as the world of possibilities, also called as parallel realities, which is driven by manifesting money is the easiest thing on this planet.
Purpose of yoga is to prepare your body for meditation, so you can attain salvation.
I have a question here. I don't know why I would want to feel that way. One with the universe and not wanting to feel emotion X, Y, Z. I never understood how meditation helps people. So all I do is, so what would take me say 30 minutes a day, I'm doing it in 10.
Let us consciously and scientifically manifest things rather than also looking at it from the subconscious perspective. And the best way to do so is to
Harvard, Stanford, Ayurveda, naturopathy, all of them have some defined ways in which you can improve your gut health. You start from...
How do you know your gut has been impacted?
So it begins with escaping a bacterial or viral infection that got into your body. Your cortisol level went up and you attack. But after the attack is over, your cortisol levels should go down. It hasn't gone down. There's inflammation. Now there's water retention. Now there is more stress and physical pain. And now you're taking medicines to suppress those symptoms.
If your patient is happy and if your patient wants to recover, he will recover. And on the opposite end, if he says, I want to die, he will die. That is real, and every doctor believes it. Spirituality gives me the ability to remain calm, be at ease, and chill out.
How then does manifestation feature in this process if everything is divine timing?
Now, what exactly is divine timing? So this is going to be a little bit about the karma theory that we speak about. So there are like 4 types of karmas we all go through in our life.
Gratitude vibrates at 540 NHC, which allows you to experience physical, mental, emotional, energetic, spiritual health.
If you think you will lose, you are lost. For out in this world we find that success begins with a fellow's will. It's all in the state of mind.
What if I told you that the key to healing your body isn't just in medicine, but also in your mind? Or that affirmations could clear your acne and you have the power to completely rewire your brain? Today we're joined by Dr. Siddhant Bhargava, who champions the power of medical science, Rajiv Thakker, who challenges those beliefs, and Dr. Dimple Jangda, who shares simple practices to transform your well-being from within. This episode dives deep into the intersection of science and the subconscious mind, exploring the connection between mind, body, and soul. And we found the answer to the question, can your thoughts heal what medicine treats? This is HSBC Presents Realign Season 3. Are you ready to live it up? Welcome back to Realign, all of you. You all have individually been on the show and now together. So I'm very, very excited for the conversations.
Likewise.
Thank you.
How are you guys feeling? How has it been since Realign? It's been a year plus for you guys and I think 6 months?
Yep, 6 months.
For us. How's everything been? And then we'll get into the flow of mind, body and soul.
So likewise, and after the first podcast got over, it was a very, very life-changing moment for me. My LinkedIn was like completely optimized on its autopilot mode itself. Right? As I said to you, almost 8,000 people like came into my life, have almost 600 speaking engagements, 40 entrepreneurs have asked for my mentorship, and I have not been able to do anything. Because now it's all about race against time, then probably the way forward. But yes, learning about manifestation, that journey is still on, and yeah. Thank you so much for everything.
And by popular demand, you're back. As I
so
told you, people constantly ask for you, saying, when is he coming back for a part 2?
So extremely grateful to you and the entire wonderful team of Realign. It's so wonderful to meet all of them again.
Realign would definitely not be Realign without any of you guys. So today we're hopeful to take the conversation a little bit deeper. And it is about mind, body, soul. And we have 3 very unique perspectives, right, today on this roundtable. So I'm really excited to get into it. So I'll begin with this, right? The idea of wellness has been evolving. It's anyways evolved, but it's been evolving very rapidly. And people know that it's not a unidirectional or a singular kind of strand process. There are many different elements that come together to actually get you to that point of wellness. So in terms of mind, body, soul, right? How do you think wellness should be defined today? And I'll begin with you.
I think it should be as simple as the feeling of feeling well. Like it should start and end just at that. Of course, we've divided this conversation between mind, body, and soul, but as far as a human being is concerned, it's just about them feeling at ease. And whether it's therapy A, non-therapy B, therapy C, the human being doesn't actually care as long as it helps them feel at ease. And I think that's how wellness eventually should start being approached, because so many conversations happen around people trying to say, that's not right, this is right, that's not right. And they keep trying to convince people that this is the correct method of wellness. And I think it can only come with maturity and age. And I believe I used to be one of those people who used to keep doing that when I was 21, 22, 25. But today I've realized that as long as it makes a person feel good, do whatever it takes to feel well. That's wellness.
It's that feeling effectively. And you've spoken about thoughts, beliefs, feelings, emotions, and how they kind of compound into finally manifesting whatever it is that you'd like, right? 99.9%.
Yeah, still there only.
Yeah, we're still at 99.9%. So I'm going to open up the conversation to manifestation and really talk about the contrasting opinions that are there, as there always will be when it's something that's new age, that's just come about. In terms of that, say if you take something like healing, or if you take something like envisioning a large life, or say even things like becoming a unicorn, right, which is more in the context of Gen Z who are watching, manifestation has a negative connotation, which is that's not a science, it's a pseudoscience, things around that. So I'll open it up to you to talk to me about manifestation in today's context.
Right, I think last time we had spoken about that we all live in different kinds of realms.
Yeah.
So there are 3 different kinds of realms which we are like aware of at this point in time. They're called the 3rd dimension, the 4th dimension, and the 5th dimension. Now the 3rd dimension is a space where everything is in the physical world. It is driven by your senses. The 4th dimension is the world that is inside of you, which is driven by your beliefs. And the 5th dimension is called as the world of possibilities, also called as parallel realities, which is driven by identity shifting. So in the 3rd dimension, whatever is around us is driven by the way we see, smell, taste, hear, and feel. But the 4th dimension is where the real magic is, which is based on how do you believe and how much of belief you have in yourself, so that you are able to pull the kind of manifestation from the 5th dimension. Now, what exactly is the 5th dimension? So it is the world of possibilities. So there's a possibility where, let's say there is a person called as X. So your X is healthy, X is not healthy. X is rich, X is not rich. X has a beautiful relationship, X is not in a great relationship. So just by your beliefs, which is the law of assumption, you are able to pull the manifestation from the 5th dimension to the 3rd dimension, and that is when things get reflected. So what we try to say is that your entire world is nothing but the world which is there inside of you. So this is Karishma, but there's also a Karishma that is living inside of her. If the Karishma inside of her is someone who's completely healed, the manifestation outside happens very easily, because your external world is a reflection of your internal self. If there is chaos outside, it's because there is chaos inside. So the more you start working on your belief systems, manifestation becomes very easy. So first thing that I would like to tell out to the millennials is that manifestation is a very effortless process. It has got nothing to do with the hustling culture of 70 hours. It's just a few minutes a day where you practice certain things, which is the law of attraction, which is visualization. Then comes the law of assumption, is your belief system. Then there is something that I've just started reading very recently is breath work. That just by practicing certain simple asanas a day, you can actually manifest things very quickly. So breath work is also like the way forward, and all of it is just a 15-20 minute exercise a day, and then it's all about the inspired actions that you need to take.
Yeah. Can you weigh in on how is it that the body is involved in this process? Because you also talk about the balance between, like you were saying, between the body and what you're able to reverse. So talk to me from a lens of science that typically questions this process. What is it like?
I've started re-questioning everything that I've said. Okay. Simply because after a point, you cannot really divide and isolate the body, mind, and emotion as 3 different objects. Okay. You cannot treat the body separately and then go for therapy separately, and then go for emotional well-being tools and exercises separately. You cannot separate the 3. It's a holistic approach, right? Now, when I started my journey, it started as a self-inquiry. Because I had a lot of health issues as a child, and I wanted to find answers to it for myself, right? From epilepsy to cancer scare. to multiple surgeries and having autoimmune disorders. I was like, what is the answer? How do I arrive at it? So it begins from ground zero. You're lucky if you're at ground zero. Most of us are way below the ground, right? At a negative space. So it started with yoga, and yoga said something very powerful. It said the purpose of yoga is to prepare your body for meditation, so you can attain salvation. Yoga is not just to bend your body in different, contorted poses and take pictures and put it up on social media. That's not it. And yoga is just not about fitting in the right clothes and size 0, right? I said, oh wow, beautiful. So I studied yoga. It brought me to Ayurveda then. I started studying Ayurveda, and it made a lot of sense, the science of food chemistry, the science of Virutahar, which we spoke about last time. And it's an unproven science yet. There's not enough research in the modern world for it. Then I went on to study lifestyle medicine with Harvard with not much expectations. I was like, what are they going to teach me, which I probably don't know? You go in with that assumption that you know it all. And it's a humbling experience, because I found like the person who was teaching me was actually teaching me about yoga back, even though it was not part of the syllabus. And I was like, wait, this woman is in Harvard. She's one of the leading professors, Dr. Freites, if I'm saying it right. And she was talking about yoga, and she kept talking about whole food, plant-based diet. Okay. And then I go to Mahakumbh. I take a dip. And I'm like questioning everything. And then I realize you cannot dissect the world as separate sciences. You cannot dissect the body as 3 different bodies, like the physical body, the mental, emotional, energetic, spiritual body. All of it blends at a certain point. All of it dissolves. And then you rebuild your truth. So you first have to decode, deconstruct yourself, and then recode and rebuild your truth, right? So what does the physical science help us do? It helps us get rid of diseases in our body, so we can get to that stage of meditation or manifestation or mental health or spiritual health. You need to get rid of the toxins at the physical level, diseases at the physical level, right? So modern science says 90% of the diseases happens due to an unhealthy colon, incomplete evacuation of waste. Ayurveda talks about enemas and basti treatments and abhyangams. Then naturopathy talks about using food to heal your body, allowing your body the permission to heal itself. Then yoga says, open up your chakras, get rid of the blockages. Reiki talks about it. Theta healing talks about it. Terra Psychum talks about it. All of these sciences are talking about the same thing. It's basically to prepare your body so it can heal itself. Right? So get rid of the physical waste, get rid of the mental toxins, get rid of the emotional baggages that you're carrying, get rid of the pain and trauma that you're holding up. How do you get rid of it? A simple process that has really worked for me is meditation. And I know you practice it too. So I'd love for you to share your ideas on it rather. And because all the conversations are now suddenly blending into the same destination, which is the higher version of yourself.
100%. I think that, to what you were also saying earlier, it's just about feeling good, and it's about feeling right and having that energy and that frequency at a higher level. And I think that it's really that simple, but it's often complicated in terms of what is it exactly that I need to do, this process, that process. And I truly believe that we live in a world of too much information. Like there's so much out there. There's, for everything that you put out, there are 100 different opinions or 100 different people saying that no, but this is what's correct. So what I think is the best way to kind of figure it out for yourself is to go and gravitate towards what really makes you feel good and doesn't make you feel depleted, because there is a sense of depletion if you're stuck in a work environment that isn't fulfilling for you, or you're in a relationship which is constantly bringing you down, or you find yourself at odds with what you really want to do, is all leading to low frequency. That's my take on it, but I'll open it up to you in terms of, you've been through this entire cycle where you had to heal yourself, your body, and then come back even stronger. That's where you actually got interested in food at that molecular level. So what's your opinion?
So I think my opinion is, so I'm not a person who has very strong beliefs in general, because for me it's all about getting by. Like, it's chill. Like, that's just the way I approach life. And I think a large part of why I believe what I believe is because, okay, it's like this. I don't want any kind of beliefs to consume me, because then I start feeling like my life becomes about those beliefs, and life is too short to become about a set of beliefs. I rather do genuinely what I want to do all the time, while still trying to hold on to certain things that are important to me without being consumed by them. It started from that. Now, after having, going through multiple cycles of healthy, not healthy, healthy, not healthy, I think I was always doing a couple of things right, which now I start realizing that, all the people who were more learned have been talking about it, and I was just doing it all along. The first thing that I've always done is manifest. And for me, it was Khayali Pulao. But I recently realized that Khayali Pulao is manifestation. And I was obsessed with it. Like, I manifest obsessively because I've been dreaming about a certain kind of life and I work towards it almost every single day. So that to me was manifestation. So it's maybe a less cooler version of manifestation, but that is manifestation to me. The second thing was neuroplasticity, which again, like it's only with Energize that I started realizing that, without sounding ignorant, I never understood how meditation helps people. Because I've been a person who's been on the spectrum for a while. Sitting still is not my vibe. Like even right now, my toes, I'm constantly doing that with both feet, like constantly, because it's just not possible for me to sit still. So I never understood what meditation could mean.
I can't believe I'm still in the queue. I've been refreshing for ages.
They're almost sold out. We won't get any.
Karishma, how are you so calm? We are in ticket chaos over here.
Oh, I already have my ticket sorted. Living it up isn't just a goal, it's my way of life. And the HSBC Live Plus credit card helps me do just that. I mean, imagine getting early access to concerts and every time I swipe, I earn unlimited cash back. But here's the thing. It's not just about the perks. It's about simplifying life, celebrating the small wins, and elevating every moment to its fullest potential. From a night out to everyday essentials, the Live Plus credit card makes every moment an experience. I'll give you one perspective here. The number one question we get on meditation is how?
Yeah.
Because most people are like, it's unfathomable to be seated in one place, shutting your eyes, blocking the senses, when you're so used to kind of always being on, right?
Yeah.
The number one question is what you just said is how do I meditate?
And I don't think I still can. But after like obsessively reading about what it can do, I realized that neuroplasticity is real. And a lot of the belief systems that people are trying to inculcate lead to neuroplasticity, which essentially means rewiring your brain to being more adept or being better suited at being resilient. And that's the true element of being able to fight off cycles of healthy, unhealthy, healthy, unhealthy. It's the ability to be resilient. It's the ability to, for lack of better words, to not care enough and to only focus on creating your khayali pulaus. That's the cycle you create, and I think that's the only way to heal. So everything that the learned gurus talk about, I just feel I was doing it all along. And I was still telling, I was in my head thinking, no, they don't know anything. This is not how healing works. Healing is only take a medicine, that's how you heal. Take a medicine, that's how you heal. But now I realize that it's not how you heal. It's a combination of so many things. And I feel good that I have this understanding today. I feel more mature and I feel older and I feel happier that if something of this sort were to happen again, I think I know the correct tools. It's medicine with manifestation, with meditation, with believing, with this. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it's super interesting that you brought
I
up.
can't believe I've had this conversation today.
Yeah, there's no way. You didn't say all this the last time.
Nothing. I can't
You're
believe
like,
I'm having this
yeah.
conversation. But yeah, it's happening.
It's 4 years is equal to 40 years in
Yeah.
your life right now. You would ask me, like, I've had a conversation with him 4 years ago.
Really?
I was so brash then,
No, I wouldn't say brash.
Would you
but,
dismiss manifestation? Don't lie.
I did.
Yeah.
I used to. But yeah, manifestation, meditation, belief system, I'll be like, kyun karna hai? Like, I want to party on a weekend, I want to make money on a weekday, and jo ho raha hai, it's part of life, theek hai, chill hai.
Yeah.
But I don't know why I'm having this conversation today. Let's make me feel good. So
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to talk about neuroplasticity because I think that not enough is understood about it and how scientific it is and how it intertwines with the concept of manifestation. Of course, we will begin this conversation with you. Talk to us about the basics of neuroplasticity, and we'll chime in as we have perspectives on what this process is.
So, when we speak of neuroplasticity, there are three things that we first need to think about. First is a concept called as thought fixation, right? And we spoke about it last time, that you read any book on manifestation, any means every book. The last one that I was reading in the hall right now, everything starts with a thought. As you mentioned that, people find it very difficult to get into that meditative state. See, what is meditation? It is just mediating an action which takes you closer towards your goals. Now, the thing is that the moment we think of meditation, people think, oh, it's a 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour or a Vipassana journey. But books like Atomic Habits actually inspire you. They're just about taking that one minuscule action a day, which takes you to your goals using the power of compounding.
Yeah.
So the first is, it's all about thought fixation, that what am I thinking throughout the day? And then what is the belief behind it? Because that plays a very, very big role. Like say, for example, if I would go up to a youngster and ask, that what do you wish to become in life? What are your thoughts all about? So he would say, I would like to become a singer. So suddenly I would ask him 5 questions that, why do you want to become a singer? So these are the 5 answers that I get. And one of them is like true. I want to become rich. Nah. I want to become famous. Nah. I want to prove it to the world that I'm a great singer, to start with my parents and then the society at large. This is nothing but you filling up a void inside of you. Yeah. That's it. But when the answer number 4 comes out, that I think I love to entertain people, you automatically go to a high vibe. I think I'm born with some kind of talent which will help me to tell the world that I can entertain you. That's a God gift. That is when neuroplasticity actually takes place, because now you're making that true attempt to change yourself. And you are changing yourself because there's a thrill in changing. So neuroplasticity happens fast. In very simple language, like say for example, if I want to go from point A to point B, we have construction of bridges. Neuroplasticity is just constructing those bridges using very positive thoughts that takes you closer towards your goals. But what kind of thoughts you're having throughout the day? Are they based on fear? You are just filling up a void. Are they based on love? Neuroplasticity happens very fast. So everything starts with the thought, because wherever your thought goes is where your action will go, and that thing is going to get manifested and hence it's going to expand. Second, as I said, everything starts with how those thoughts get converted into habits. Right? Because after a while, the law of hypnotic rhythm takes over. That means you are driven by your habits and your habits start controlling you. So you need to ask yourself a question that, am I controlling my habits or are my habits controlling me? If your habits are controlling you, it does not work that way. And third is, let us consciously and scientifically manifest things rather than also looking at it from the subconscious perspective. And the best way to do so is to just remain in perpetual gratitude. Right? The more we live in gratitude, the more manifestation and neuroplasticity on the positive side happens very fast for you to go closer towards your goals. Because the more you are in gratitude, the more the universe gives you more opportunities to be grateful for. So I think that is like the first step that we need to know, that where are my thoughts throughout the day, where you can just divide it. Are these fear-based thoughts or are these love-based thoughts? Fear is just a void. Love takes me closer towards my goal because that is something I enjoy to do. Like he said the word chill 4 times. Do you know that?
Yeah.
So when you just want to chill, that means you are loving what you're doing. No? Yeah. So that's what you need to do in life. Yeah. And today we have so many options to do so. So we don't need to get depleted into what you said, that that is the right path. There's no right path or wrong path. There's only one path wherever you gravitate yourself towards. So I think that would be a good start, is just having complete control over your thoughts.
It's just awareness.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like, am I like, so now I think I've arrived at a point where I can, if that thing is going on in my head where it's like, it's not productive. I know that this conversation is not productive. I actually tell that part of my brain to just be like, shh. Like I'm focusing,
and
right?
that
like,
is neuroplasticity.
Yeah, like it's
that's resilience.
When you're just aware, you can automatically just reroute.
Absolutely.
It's not about control as much as, because I don't think you can literally control every single thought that enters your brain. It's too much. There's 50 to 60,000 thoughts.
90,000. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like that's the average. Yeah.
Really.
Okay, but how would you define neuroplasticity to somebody who's watching for the first time and has no idea? So
I think let's not define it. If we want people to understand what it truly means, tell an 18-year-old that say 50% of the problems or your or the overthinking that you do, or the insecurities that you feel, if you could practice something for 10 minutes a day, a couple of years down the line, you wouldn't feel that way, and you'd be able to reroute your thoughts from here and there. That's neuroplasticity, exactly what you said. That if there's the devil in your brain telling you that maybe this is not going your way, you can really push it away and move back to the angel telling you that this is what you're good at, this is what I want to do. That's neuroplasticity.
And
it's a superpower. It's nothing short of a superpower.
And I actually do it out loud. I don't even do it in my brain. I'm like, I'm like,
That sounds
just
like
calm.
me.
Yeah, just calm down. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it happens. It happens all the time. So, when you spoke about meditation just now and said that you find it difficult, right?
Yeah,
Like right now.
very
also.
difficult.
So how do you do it? You said, those 10 minutes. How do you do it? Let's simplify
So,
meditation for those.
very honestly, I still don't meditate. I just use Energize, and this is not a brand plugin. Like, the only reason I'm talking about this is because I finally believe in it, because I can finally feel it.
Okay.
So I'm doing the same thing. Like, during meditation, you still try and feel centered, etc., etc. All everybody is doing when it comes to any of these activities is trying to, it's trying to stimulate the parasympathetic system. So your body is made up of two systems, sympathetic, parasympathetic. Sympathetic in school was taught to us fight and flight.
Yeah.
And today's world is all about that. You're overstimulated. You're in a sympathetic overdrive all the time, right? Like your notifications, hustle culture, traffic, parents, relationships, friends, family. You're always on. And your body is unable to switch off on demand. That's what today's life is about. And I think we all agree, right? That's today's world. So all I do is I've just found a very tech-enabled way to stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system that gives me the same, I wouldn't call it benefits, because I think meditation will have different benefits, but just targets the same pathway and appeals to a person like me who's trying to get things done in a very short time frame. So what would take me, say, 30 minutes a day, I know for a fact, like objectively, I'm doing it in 10, and that's making me feel very happy. And that's where all of my new belief systems are being born out of. So I'm just using an external device that I made myself with my own hands, and I put it here, and I use it for 10 minutes a day, and I feel good. And that's how I meditate.
Yeah, and that's amazing.
So
right?
that's my meditation.
Or like
Yeah.
if it's a pottery class, they feel like it's meditation. The definition of meditation is very fluid in the sense that you just have to be at one.
And you know, a lot of the larger organizations are also changing their thought process, because after we came out and people started realizing what we're doing, I thought that we are going to be viewed as competition by anyone who meditates. Quite the opposite, because people are now realizing that the end goal is one. So if they can tech enable their beliefs also, there's nothing wrong with it. So I think it's pretty chill that people are just becoming chilled out. Like belief systems are becoming more inclusive. And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
We're embracing.
Talk to me about meditation. We've spoken.
I'm glad you asked.
Yeah, we've spoken a lot about this, and I want you to talk to me about meditation and also how the gut and the body has an association, right? That connection, true connection between mind and body. How can you define that?
If I can share one life experience to explain the power of meditation. I heard of the process or the technique or the tool of meditation when I was 23. Until then, it didn't occur to me. It wasn't meant for me. I'm not a sage or an aspiring monk because I belong in the materialistic world and I want to engage in the materialistic world, right? So at that point in time, at the age of 23, I was in a near-to-death life situation. I was in an abusive marriage where every day was like do-or-die situation, right? And my friend told me, she was the only one I had access to at that point in time. I didn't have access to anybody, my parents, family, friends, relatives. And she just told me, why didn't you wake up at 3:45? And I was like, what ungodly hour is that? Take a cold shower, don't use soap, don't use any fragrances, slip into some clean cotton clothes and go to a spot where there is an open space, nothing above you, nothing around you, to distract you or pull energy out of you, and just meditate. Nothing else. The conversation ended there. And I was like, what did she even mean by that? Right? So I said, okay, I have nothing to lose. If anything, maybe I'll find some answers. So the next morning, I woke up at 3:45, took a cold shower, put on some clothes, went to the terrace and started meditating. There were like 1,000 thoughts running in the mind. That's called the monkey mind. The monkey mind is really anxious. 60,000 thoughts per hour or more, I think, So this is beyond your control. These are variables that are beyond my control. So there are like 1,000 thoughts that have taken over my brain, and they are determining and deciding what vibrational frequency I am vibrating at right now. And that vibrational frequency is attracting events back into my life. So if I'm vibrating at a low, unhealthy frequency, I'm attracting unhealthy bacteria into my life, be it at a cellular level or be it in the human form, right? So that started making sense. So I didn't have to control my thoughts. I didn't have to become the boss of it. I was not in charge. My job was just to sit there and observe those emotions as a third person. I'm not this body, I'm not this emotion, I'm not this mind. What I am is a soul that is neither born nor does it die. What I am is an energy that can neither be created nor destroyed. And the human body is a temporary part of that soul's journey. Right? The soul could live for thousands and millions and billions of years. Nobody knows the beginning and the end of it. Nobody knows the beginning and the end of the universe. Nobody knows how energy is created and how energy can be destroyed, right? So the physical body allows me and my soul to engage with the outside world. Without the physical body, I cannot engage in this conversation. I cannot be in this particular avatar or outfit, right? So I started observing these emotions as a third person. I allowed them to flow through me. A few days went by. So the number of thoughts and the intensity and the frequency of the thoughts started reducing on its own. I didn't have to do anything. All I had to do was sit and observe it as a third person and not engage with it emotionally. So if something bad was happening, my job was not to react with anger, with any kind of negative or positive emotions. I should neither be moved by compliments nor criticism. I must have the same reaction to both. If I'm going to be moved by compliments, mind you, the criticism is going to hurt me more. Right? So then I started observing, and there was one day, I still remember, that was probably the turning point of my life as well. I went up to the terrace, the same spot, the same place where I meditated. I closed my eyes at 4 o'clock, and then I opened my eyes. It was 6 o'clock. It was one blink, 0 thoughts, and I have no idea what happened in those 2 hours. I have no idea, and even today, I can't answer that question. I'm 41 now. Have I experienced that same state of meditation? Nope. I'm still working towards going back to that state of meditation. But what it did was changed my life. From that moment on, when I went back into my marriage, there was no enemy, there was no assaulter, there was no attacker. They were all human beings around me. And I had 0 emotions to express. No jealousy, envy, greed, frustration, anger, or even disappointment at my parents or anybody. That state of 0 is called shunya, where you can recreate your life. And from there on, my entire trajectory of life changed. And if there's something that I've understood, I'm not the owner of my destiny. I'm not in the driver's seat. I'm a silent observer. And my job is to regulate my emotions. And that's where meditation and neuroplasticity plays a powerful role. It helps you regulate your emotions. It helps you regulate your stress. It helps you regulate your physical body and get rid of physical diseases that can otherwise be a hindrance or a blockage in your process of meditation. Right? So the purpose of yoga, Ayurveda, modern medicine, Western medicine, no matter what science it is to prepare your body for this state of meditation so you can attain absolute bliss where there are no contradictions anymore. Like happiness has sadness. Health has disease. But meditation is a state that has no contradictions. You're in a state of absolute bliss, peace, and happiness, and you're dissolving into the planet, into the universe. And you realize that you're part of this planet, earth, water, fire, air, space. You came from it and you go back to it when you disintegrate and die. You realize you're co-creator of this universe. The universe is within you and you are within the universe. And when you come face to face with that powerful truth, everything helps you attain whatever goal you've set out for, be it in your spiritual world or physical world or career. No matter what it is, all of them blends in and then it becomes possible. So that's what meditation did for me. And I'm so glad, like we're having this conversation right now because it's allowing me to realign myself back to my true purpose.
I have a question here, and again, pardon me for my...
No, please do ask. It's anyways too much pressure to me to ask all the questions.
I didn't understand majority of what was spoken right now. So if it can be translated to be made a little easier, because I don't know why I would want to feel that way. Like about being one with the universe and not wanting to feel emotion X, Y, Z. Like, I have probably 70 years to live, and this is all my life is. So why am I talking about, again, it's the belief system thing, right? Like, such strong belief systems, where do they arise from, and how does that make a person happier? If this can be explained to me, I'd be happier.
Yeah, like in terms of, like,
again,
why don't we just take it one day at a time, or like just chill or go with the flow?
Like, I'm nervous now. So if this can be made more easy, just explain.
There's a conversation.
What's your exact question? Ask the question using, say, 10 words.
Okay, my exact question is, why have we complicated something so simple? That's my question.
Because it has to be sold.
Explained in human terms.
Very simple language.
Because if I had to explain meditation, I'd do it in silence.
Okay, so I'll share two aspects to it. One would be like, how can you actually start the process of meditation? Would that help?
Yes, please.
In very simplified version. I remember last year you were reading a book called as Becoming Supernatural.
Yeah.
Dr. Joseph
I
Spencer.
finished it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. So if I would like summarize that entire book in 5 steps, which can really help you to even manifest and get into that meditative mode. So it says that step number 1, right? Disconnect from your body, you become nobody. And how does that happen? When you start understanding a simple process called as breath work. Right? There's a simple concept called as box breathing. Can you just remain silent for 4 seconds? Inhale 4 seconds, stop 4 seconds, exhale 4 seconds, and probably say an affirmation with it. In your case would be, I am blessed with a wonderful team that works for my startup, and we are achieving our goals to ensure people are happy. So simple, right?
Yes.
Step number 1, you become nobody. Then you have to completely disconnect from the relations that you have with people around you, right? And the roles that they play in your life and the role that you play in their life. So you become no one, right? Third is, can you completely disconnect from the substances that you are so aligned with, so that you disconnect from them. Things like disconnect yourself from your phone, from your computer, from your car, you become nothing, right? Then meditation is also about sitting at that place and forgetting the geography where you are versus the geography where you need to be. So you become nowhere, right? In that precise moment, when you make a brave attempt to not think about your past, which leads to clinical depression, or thinking about your future, which leads to anxiety, you come into the present moment and the portal opens up. When that portal opens up, you are not overwhelmed with the third dimension or the physical reality of the world, and you are not limited by the identity that you have. That is when meditation starts.
You know, if I could say it in one sentence.
Mind blown.
You know, it's that concept of less is more.
Yeah.
You know how Japanese found happiness and peace in minimalism. Yeah. They realized that having less things in the house gives you more peace and happiness because there's less maintenance, less hard work in maintaining it, right? Now, when we went from minimalism to materialism, acquiring things, also stress levels went up.
Oh, brilliant.
Right? Multiple levels of stimulation that you spoke about. I'm getting stimulated by my wealth manager asking me to invest in mutual funds and equity and debt. And I was like, why should I have to worry about so many things? Why is money making me more worrisome? Shouldn't money make me happy? And then I realized, okay, money is not making me happy. Then I move into a bigger home. There are lots of plants. And then I'm like worried about the staff. When are they going to come to clean this and that? And I was like, wait, the house was supposed to give me happiness. Why am I becoming enslaved to this house now? Why am I becoming the caretaker of this house? Then the body happened, right? Initially, we were going to the parlors and salons and spas and, you know, medical centers and therapies and Ayurveda camps and yoga camps. Why am I becoming enslaved to the body? Why am I the caretaker of this body? Isn't the body supposed to cater to my needs and desires and emotions to, achieve a higher version of myself? Like, I'm neither enslaved to my body, nor enslaved to the physicality of the world and the materialistic part of the world, nor am I enslaved to the relationships that I have with my own parents, kith and kin. That took me a lot of energy. To learn that my parents' role was to bring me into this world and my role is to help them achieve the higher version.
But I'll play devil's advocate here, right? Like when, supposing I go to the salon, I do feel happy.
Well, there's nothing wrong with it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it.
Or like, you know, like I moved into my own house, and is there maintenance? Yeah, but it makes me incredibly happy. So how
to own that space?
Yeah, I live on rent in Bombay, but like to just have a space that's designed and catered to my needs, you know, and does it come with its layer of maintenance, or does it come with its layer of, okay, this thing is wrong, I need to fix it, or like going to a salon, or like, like, I don't know, like you could take many different permutations and combinations. There are both sides. So how do you tackle it? Like if for people who are watching, right, there could be an insane amount of happiness that comes from materialism.
Absolutely.
Or subscribing to superficiality, because it is the world that we live in. Like, is it a temporary hit of dopamine when
yes.
when you upload a photo where you look good,
And
or you made that effort to look
compliment
good? Yeah, and people compliment you. Yes, but there is a degree of happiness to that. Is it sustained happiness? I don't know. So
But
I think most of it is driven by validation. And validation has a very small shelf life to it. See, as long as you are at your peace and you are at your calm, nothing matters. Whether we live a life which is minimalistic, which I live, maybe we are in our 40s, so probably we think like that. You guys are in your 20s and 30s, so you guys still have a journey to like encompass.
it's like a truth bomb.
I did a course post-COVID. It was called as KonMari by this lady called Marie Kondo, right? And the first question that came to me on that Zoom call is that, which country are you from? So I said, I'm from India. And then I'm like, why are you asking me this question? She said, can you just open up your wardrobe on a Zoom call? I said, no. Just open up your wardrobe. I'm like, okay. And I said, how many shirts do you have? So I said, 63. How many? 63. How many do you wear? I said, 9. And that's your answer. Why do you want so many? Right? So that is where the journey of minimalism starts. Now, why is the science behind minimalism so powerful these days? It's because each element in front of you is a thought fixation. So the moment I enter into this room and I just saw that book, The Flow, my God, one professor who actually sold that book to me, all those thoughts are coming back to me, which they shouldn't, because right now my focus should be here. That's thought fixation. So the more, the merrier is in the materialistic world, but in the spiritual world, less is
more.
any day more.
yeah.
See, getting your peace and getting your calm is not about manipulating the surroundings in which you are living. Getting your peace and hence your calm is about mastering your responses.
No, I agree. So like in the beginning of this year, I gave up leather. Okay.
Yeah, we saw that.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Thank you. Good for you.
Yeah. So because I'm vegetarian, okay,
Good.
I don't eat any kind of meat, and
Fair enough.
somebody just asked me the question that, what do you think you're carrying? Like, and
It hit you.
you disc, and it's not like I wasn't aware. It's just that when it was said in that context, I was just like, I'm actually being really stupid. Like, because I'm vegetarian for all the right reasons, and animal cruelty is a huge part of it.
Absolutely.
I just don't want any human being to suffer, or any being to suffer as a consequence of my action. But I'm buying a leather bag, so I've given it up and it feels lighter. I'm not like, how you, like typically as girls, or I don't even guys, I'm sure, like, you earmark certain things that you want to buy, or, okay, this will be cool to have, and, I'll work towards it. There's just no pressure. I'm like, I'm done. And it doesn't excite me to be going on a shopping trip, or it doesn't excite me at all. Instead, I want to be doing other things with my time, and that only happened gradually. So, and it came from within. So there were a lot of people who would discuss this around me, but I never actioned it until and unless I thought about it and I said, you know what? Also for all the right, like the spiritual reasons, I want to let it go, but just from the lens of now I have no baggage. Like I don't have, that bag that I want to work towards.
But are you free from comparison also? Like, do you not compare yourself in your head anymore?
Not at all, because I'm like, I'm doing something that aligns so well with my value system. This other aspect really doesn't fulfill me.
But then how do you continue to perform if you don't crave validation, or if you don't subject yourself to comparison? Like, it's like the concept of eustress and de-stress, right? Like a certain amount of stress is needed to perform.
Yeah.
So now I'm actually going to ask y'all another question. You mentioned no body, no one, and
No thing,
Nowhere, no
thing.
place.
Does that mean you have to be like that all the time? Is that what being enlightened means? Or are you trying to create small moments of those feelings through your day?
So enlightened means the ability to observe without judgment. That is when your journey of enlightenment actually starts. So then the first question that comes very often is that, aren't we like designed to judge ourselves and hence judge others? So here there are two components to it. Now, human beings are a function of character and competency. As far like our competency concerned, we are definitely going to be judged. I mean, if you can't clear UPSC, you cannot be an IAS rank. But let's not judge our characters over here, right? Now, there's another concept of economics that comes over here. It's called the law of diminishing marginal utility. The more you have of something, the less you feel like having more of it.
Correct.
Now, this what she has gone through is nothing but a stage of human evolution. At one point in time, I craved for it, but then the more you have of it, the less you feel like having more of it, because then you want to like come out of that particular world and start your journey inwards rather than looking at your journey outwards. The more you go inside is when the things get manifested outside. Now, the only thing is that everything will come at a shelf life. Because beyond a certain point, how much of pleasure are you going to like get out of whatever that materialistic thing is there for you?
No, but that can change, right? That's different depending upon what it is.
Absolutely.
For example, with your app or the app that I'm going to be building, I'm hungry. I'm greedy to make it extremely successful, right? So
You're hungry for impact.
Exactly. That's the thing. You're hungry for purpose.
It's
That's the very
external.
important thing.
Like, I don't think any human being is capable of being only purpose driven, right?
Okay.
It's not possible.
If I can just add to that, the two of you, like,
it's not
I love it.
team.
I love it. Because it's actually invoking me to think better. And it's such a deja vu. This morning, I was telling you, I just finished writing half a chapter before coming here. And my chapter was on neuroplasticity and meditation. I just wrote it and I was like, this is deja vu that I had to be here for this conversation.
Wow.
So talking about the two things that you spoke, you said, I do like going to the salon. It makes me happy. I do like the space I live in. It makes me happy. But does the salon own you to the point where if you didn't go to the salon, you'd get very depressed about it? No, it doesn't own you. Does a space own you to the point that it doesn't let you leave the house till you've cleaned up every single thing? No, because there's another purpose that drives you, right? Now, are we looking for external validation? Does she and he and her approve of me? We've been on social media, ridiculed and ripped apart. Humbling process, let me tell you. And then you realize it was not external validation that you were seeking. It was internal validation, your peace and happiness of creating impact and improving somebody else's lives through your knowledge of science. Your need to create impact and bring conversations to the world. So it's your purpose that is coming from within, your internal validation. You're trying to become a better version of you each waking day. And you don't care what people judge you for. You don't care, right? Like you chose to move from modern science to this app about mental health. It's like 40 years have passed in the last 4 years that I've met you. And I can say that again and again, like, that evolution is like geometric, it's progressive. You've hit that vortex point where you're evolving so quickly that your attachment to that bag also dropped, which could have otherwise given you a lot of bliss and happiness and materialistic joy. You were like, no, this doesn't hold me anymore. This doesn't have control over me and my emotions. My space and my salon and my bags and my things does not own me.
Yeah.
I own things, but they don't own me.
When you look at the monks that speak on social media,
There are so many.
There are so many now. Can we break down their mindset? I think they're probably the purest version of not seeking anything from the world, completely purpose-driven. Do you think it's possible?
Of course it is. Of course it is.
Now look at Dandapani, Deepak Chopra.
Yeah, they are very good in what they do. See, one is that let's make a brave attempt to differentiate between passion and purpose.
Okay.
Right? See, many of us at that particular age group are driven by our passion. So passion is when you want to do something which is something that you thoroughly enjoy to do, which is definitely going to give you some kind of a matrix in terms of an output. But the way our modern society has been unfortunately designed, specifically the last 15 years, is that the cash at bank determines success.
Yep.
But success is when I wake up in the morning, can I do what I want to do, why I want to do, how I want to do, where I want to do, when I want to do, and whom I want to do at my terms.
Correct.
So when you start controlling time, I think that is when the real pleasure arrives. One luxury car, fantastic. Second, then what? One trip to Europe, great. Second trip, Titanic. You go down, right? That's when purpose takes over. So purpose is like you are doing it because it's going to benefit humanity as whole. Through your apps, definitely you're definitely going to generate revenue. And that's the reason, you do a business. But revenue, EBITDA, profits, then what?
It's a byproduct. It's a byproduct.
Then what? Then when people will come up to you and say, you know what, through your apps, my life is completely changed. That is going to be the best moments of your life, right? I have been a very materialistic person at one point in time. I was a commodities trader, worked on the New York Board of Trade, the Chicago Board of Trade, been an investment banker, only to realize none of this works. None of this works. Nothing about your peace of mind. And again, I said, peace of mind is not about controlling or manipulating the environment. It is just about mastering your responses, and that is what true monks are all about. They are masters of responses, right? They approach everything through love rather than through fear, right? The moment you come across a monk, the monk has only one thought in his mind. How can I make your life simple, easy, and happy with no expectations in return? That is what true monks are all about. So we have to go through those realms of materialism to eventually realize it was not worth it. But smart people like you can learn it from the experiences of others very quickly, rather than you going through that same bubble and then bursting it for yourself. So when you approach things through equanimity, where everything becomes equal, whether you are a security guard, I still respect you. Whether you are a CEO of a company, I still respect you. I think that is when you really attain true happiness in your life. And when you start thinking from that perspective, trust me, your app will sell on its own. Because you are aligned to that particular outcome, right? Which is not driven by EBITDA, right? Something that was a derivative of my life all life, but now I don't even think about it. In fact, the less I think about money, the more the money I'm making these days. Because I don't even think about it. I'm completely detached. It makes no difference to me anymore. As a derivative trader, there are times, almost every time, I lose 90% of my portfolio. I'm like, okay.
So should we ever manifest anything materialistic then? Like
Of
the
course, to start
manifestation
with.
that we talked about.
Why see
And in fact,
manifestation?
also I think that materialistic things are the easiest to
They are very easy to
Yeah,
manifest.
yeah.
Trust
so
me.
easy, like it's
You know,
ridiculously easy.
manifesting money is the easiest thing on this planet.
Yeah.
But manifesting a great health, manifesting great relationships, manifesting wonderful team members, oh, trust me, it's a journey. Because they are people, and people will come with their baggages. Materialistic things don't come with their baggages. It's just a substance at the end of the day. I know many people will tell me because you have reached that level is the reason you are saying it. I'm like, I know I've reached that level, but I had to go through the hard way. Why don't you learn it the easy way? By learning it from someone else's experience.
So let's talk about the gut. Let's talk about the body and the physical aspect of body, right? I know that we're all speaking about neuroplasticity, the brain. It's all to do with thought. It's all to do with essentially the intangible. But what is tangible in all our lives is the body and how we shape our experience around it. So we'll start with you first. What is the mind-body-gut connection? Of course, we've discussed this elaborately in our episode where there are just things that people see on an intuition level or on a level that cannot be explained, which is why the phrase operate from your gut.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about that connection.
Okay, so talking about it from a tangible perspective, like something that's measurable, which can be explained in a logical manner, which both modern science and Eastern sciences will agree with. The gut is called the second brain. Okay, the gut is where there are more neurons than there are neurons in the brain. Okay, and neurons are those that allow you to sense, that allow you to transfer messages from one part of the body to another. Right now, technically speaking, the gut is a second brain, and it's connected to the main brain through a vagus nerve that sends messages every micromillion seconds. So by the time I've clicked my fingers, there are 10 messages that have gone from my gut to the brain. Now, if I have something unhealthy in my gut going on, right? So if I've had any kind of junk processed packaged foods this morning, something unhealthy or some wrong combinations of foods that I speak about a lot, which is called viruddhahar, there is a chemical reaction happening between the different food groups, undigested metabolic waste, and then the releasing gases, the live bacteria, the putrefying, rotting, and that can impact your brain immediately. So it can lead to lack of coordination, lack of concentration, mood swings, irritability, and such. Okay, so the gut has a direct impact on your mental health and your ability to focus. The gut also has a direct impact on your neurological health, which has been proven by modern science that if the gut is not absorbing, assimilating nutrients, then it doesn't have enough nutrition to send to the brain to repair or build new tissues, muscles, and nerves. Now, if the gut is also leaking toxins into the bloodstream, that gets trapped in different parts of the body, it gets reabsorbed by different organs. So undigested waste, undigested toxins, undigested hormones can get accumulated and manifested in the form of physical diseases like fibroids, tumors, cysts, PCOS, PCOD. Like PCOS, PCOD is undigested testosterone. Fibroids and tumors and cysts is undigested estrogen, right? And bloating, gas, flatulence, indigestion, constipation is undigested waste, right? Now this gut has a direct impact on your neurological health. It has an impact on your skin. Your skin is a visual representation of your internal health. Your gut has a direct impact on your gynecological health, your gastrointestinal health, your musculoskeletal health. Is your body leaching calcium, pulling calcium out of your bones to digest the foods that you've eaten? These are the things that you get to analyze. So Harvard, Stanford, Ayurveda, naturopathy, all of them have some defined ways in which you can improve your gut health. So if your gut has been impacted, if you're sick, you start from step 0.
How do you
baby
know your
steps.
gut has been impacted?
So it begins with simple things like, are you able to sit comfortably, or are you feeling discomfort in your stomach, bloating, gas, flatulence, indigestion, acidity, reflux, GERD, SIBO, H. pylori? These are the symptoms of the gut. Okay. Now the gut is the largest set of organs in the body. Stomach, small, large intestine, colon. Now, there are one set of scientists that say that the gut is below the stomach where absorption and assimilation happens post the digestion process. Another group of scientists say that the gut includes everything from the mouth to the colon, which participates in the digestion, absorption, assimilation, and elimination process. So even your liver, gallbladder, pancreas, and appendix also contributes to the digestion process by giving good bacteria, right? If you have any kind of discomfort in this part of the body, right from the mouth to the colon, that means your gut is impacted, right? From any kind of discomfort in the mouth, halitosis, bad breath, that is also a sign of unhealthy gut. Esophageal burning, acidity, reflux, bloating, gas, flatulence, constipation, diarrhea. IBS is becoming very common now, irritable bowel syndrome or irritable bowel disorder. If this gets impacted, the rest of the body gets impacted because this is the fuel engine of your body. This provides fuel for the rest of the body. So it's the largest set of organs. Now the gut also has microorganisms, the gut microbiome, which is called the gut flora. This has a direct impact on your mental and emotional health. The good gut bacteria can give you serotonin, endorphins, dopamine, because 70 to 90% of serotonin is actually produced in the gut by the gut microbiome. So the gut microbiome is like a rainforest with a diverse set of species of animals, birds, plants, and all of that, right? You cannot create it by yourself. It is subject to what you've eaten, your lifestyle habits, your waking and sleeping cycles, your environmental factors, the pollutants, the contaminants, the water quality, even the quality of light can impact your gut health. So any kind of discomfort here then starts translating into more chronic lifestyle diseases, acute diseases. For every stage of disease, you have different sciences that can help you. So for chronic lifestyle diseases, you can go to alternative sciences, which allows you to fix your lifestyle and food habits. So it could be traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurveda, naturopathy, homeopathy, doesn't matter. If it's an acute condition, then you have to seek Western medicine to bring you back to a state of 0 by destroying all the good and bad bacteria and allowing you to rebuild the good bacteria. Because everything is so chock-a-blocked inside, they have to deforest the entire thing with antibiotics and then bring you back to a state of 0 and you build yourself. Now, is that for everyone? No. At the mental level, the body and the mind is fighting all of this physical toxicity and diseases that it's not at peace. It's not able to focus on serotonin and dopamine. The cortisol levels are going up. Cortisol is your stress hormone.
Yeah.
Now that comes in a fight or flight mode. When you're being chased by a predator, by a dinosaur, which doesn't exist obviously, but when you're chased by a predator, your cortisol level goes up and it makes your body jump up like a shock, an electric shock, and makes you run. Now that is great for that moment because you were escaping the predator, you were escaping a disease and escaping a bacterial or viral infection that got into your body, your cortisol level went up and you attacked. But after the attack is over, your cortisol levels should go down. It hasn't gone down. Now what is doing? It's keeping you in a state of constant stimulation. It's like, you're a live wire and you're not able to rest and ground yourself. Grounding happens, we walk barefoot, right? Now you're not grounding, you're constantly stimulated. What is that going to do? It's going to start attacking your own good cells and good bacteria. Right? Now, because of the war that has happened between the good cells and the bad cells and your immune system and the bad bacteria that invaded your body and the diseases and the toxins, there's inflammation. Inflammation is a post-war kind of a feeling. What happens is destruction everywhere. Now, your organs are inflamed. Now, there's water retention. Now, there is more stress and physical pain. And now you're taking medicines to suppress those symptoms. Right? So, the gut starts showing you physical symptoms first. If you don't address it, your mental and emotional health will be dragged under the bus. You cannot touch the mental, emotional, spiritual, energetic health. These are ethereal bodies. They don't have a tangible physical form. You cannot address it till you've addressed the physical form. There are variables in your body that's beyond your control. Your blood circulation, your heart beating, your lungs contracting and expanding. These are variables you can't control. The variables you can control is your breath. The variables you can control is the food on your plate, your sleeping and waking cycle. You can set an alarm, right? So focus on the variables that you can control, the physical, tangible variables, and then you will start experiencing more control over the intangibles.
Yeah.
You need to cross the tangible bridge first.
Correct.
That's where gut health plays a role.
Yeah, so it's very interesting that you say that when it comes to tangible and intangible, because most of what we're trying to achieve is in the intangible. It's in the universe. It's out there. You can't touch it. So it's very hard to correlate and believe it for most people. What is in our control is physical, right? Like I can touch my body. I know that it's not doing well or it's doing well. My question is to you. You've also operated in both these spaces where food science, the body, and now obviously mental health with Energize. What is your perspective on what Dr. Dimple just said?
I think I completely agree with what she said. I do believe that at times one must view them a little differently as well, because it's easy to get swayed away by oversimplifying certain concepts. Yeah, so I don't really have much of an opinion. I treat it very, very at face value.
Yeah.
You've got a problem, you solve it. If there's no solution, stop worrying about it. If you worry about it, you'll feel anxious. So if there's a solution, do your 100% and solve it. And that I think ties back into everything we discussed here as well. So it's fairly simple. Yes, there is 100% correlation between how you feel about recovery governs how well you recover, and that is a fact. And every single modern medicine doctor is also going to tell you this. Again, whether it ties back into manifestation, whether it ties back into whichever concept we're talking about, that is a tried and tested fact. If your patient is happy and if your patient wants to recover, and if your patient is doing everything in his will or in his mind to move towards better recovery, he will recover.
Yeah.
And on the opposite end, if he says, I want to die, he will die. That is real, and every doctor believes it. So I don't think there's there's no contemplation.
yeah.
There's no contemplation left. Yehi hai. And everyone believes it. And it's true.
What is your opinion on this?
So if I would look at it from a slightly spiritual perspective, and again, when we come back to the laws of manifestation, the primary law itself says your thoughts become things, right? So here, I came across two fascinating books in my reading career. So one is called as You Can Heal Your Life by Louis Hay, and the other is The Body Keeps the Score, right? Which speaks about how do you heal your trauma. Now, all of us go through all sorts of traumatic incidences in our lives. So what is exactly is a trauma? Is like your susceptibility to an incident which makes you so nervous because of which you're not able to handle it. Hence, you are either stressed because it brings you something from the past conditioning, or it makes you anxious because it's about that uncertain future and you are absolutely overwhelmed about it. So here, Carl Jung says that until your subconscious becomes your conscious, it will control your life and you will call it as fate. So one of the ways in which you can keep your body in check is by through this beautiful process called as affirming. Right? So in this book, You Can Heal Your Life, Louis Hay has an entire battery of illnesses. The first thing that I learned from that book that says that behind every illness is an emotion. The moment your emotions are not regulated, it will show up in various parts of the body. A, acne, all the way to Y, to yeast. And then there is scientific evidence. Why do you have even abdominal pain? Why do you have diabetes? Why do you have any kind of illness in your body? Like diabetes, I learned diabetes happens because there is no sweetness left in life. So you are hunting for sweets somewhere else to ensure that all your insulin is like all over the place as such. So it's very important that we start affirming. That can really help you to regulate the mind, the body, the gut, and the soul. And that book has got so many samples of affirmation that all you need to do is just stand in the mirror and visualize as if that trauma is already gone. And you start affirming by telling yourself that I am healthy, wealthy, powerful, and magnetic, right? And everything starts to dissolve. Because the mind is so lazy, it has to be stimulated constantly. So if you stimulate it via the process of affirming, I think it creates great impact on your physical health also. Like I had acne all over my face, and this is the skin that I manifested just by using affirmations, because it really helps you to control your nerves at that point in time.
What is your thought on affirmations?
See, I like the concept, and my intuition isn't letting me believe
Yeah.
everything that is mentioned here. Because up until the point where doctors will agree with affirmations. When you're trying to heal, you have to think that you want to heal. But I don't think we can very literally break it down to each symptom. I think that is oversimplifying the process. But the thought makes a lot of sense. In this example, like I manifested or I said that this is the kind of skin that I want. Was there nothing else that was happening in the background, whether it was subconscious, that helped you get to this point?
See, the thing is that only when you have pain is when you work towards the gain.
Correct.
So of course, there was a lot of social conditioning that was also happening inside of me, that I'm not being accepted because of the acne which is there on my skin. So it aggravates it even further. But when you know, okay, there are like a lot of solutions out there, and when there is a scientific evidence that behind an illness is an emotion, why don't you start working on that emotion?
Yeah.
By and large, you are just trying to empower yourself.
Correct.
Using these various means out there, whether they're affirmations or subliminals, which are like very popular today. The intent is to just remain in that high vibe. Because the moment you are in that high vibe, I think everything kind of like falls into place.
And I think that's been the essence of this conversation also. It's all about making sure that you're doing the correct things in life. I think that's what it boils down to. And as long
But
as...
how do you know what the correct things in life are, right?
You learn.
I'll give you
learn.
an example on this podcast, right? You spoke about raw salads.
Yeah.
You spoke about milk, and both received a lot of pushback saying that this is not true or this is not true. How do you know? I mean, this is your firm belief that raw salads are not good for you. And this is your belief that milk is not necessary.
So you never actually know, because when you talk about things which are so tangible, you're going to have people on either side of the picture. Don't overcomplicate, don't oversimplify. If you know that you're having ulcers because you had milk every day, stop having the milk.
Can I separate your answer? Like, what you said and what I said on social media obviously created a lot of furrow. And, it's a humbling process, what it teaches you.
There's just no way I'm surviving this day without food. A busy day calls for good food. And my HSBC Live Plus credit card makes it even better, because I get 10% cash back on every food order.
You were laying out the facts that you know from your medical perspective. I was laying out the facts that I know from the Ayurvedic perspective. There's nothing wrong in you presenting the facts. You were doing your job and duty as a soldier, presenting the facts. What we did wrong was becoming passionate about our belief system, which makes us a slave to that belief system. It doesn't allow you to break those barriers. Now, every time you build a belief system, there's a barrier around you. And then you have to operate within that box. When you break that barrier in that belief system, you are in a bigger barrier. Then you break that barrier. So you're constantly breaking barriers on a daily basis. So earlier the belief system was, I need that bag to make me happy. You broke that barrier and that belief system, you were like, I don't need that bag to make me happy. I don't need validation from social media to prove that I'm right or wrong. Doesn't matter. My job was to present the facts. Can I separate my emotion from my work?
Correct.
That's where human evolution happens. And this is something I have learned the hard way or the good way, that keep your emotions at bay. Your job is to present the information that you know. It's up to the person to choose what is better for him or her.
So balancing health and indulgence can be tricky, especially when it comes to our food preferences. Personally, I love treating myself with my favorite food. And with my HSBC Live Plus credit card, it feels even more rewarding, thanks to the 10% cashback on all food delivery orders. So what's your approach to balancing healthy habits with moments of indulgence?
So, I would first like to say that let's...
say balancing healthy with indulgent moments, right? Like I was saying, like going to the salon makes me feel happy. But it's not, I'm not going to be like insanely upset if I don't make that trip. So what is your opinion on the balance?
The balance actually comes when you look into life as a whole rather than a life as one particular stream. The first and the most important thing when you want to live a balanced life is to focus on your physical health, mental health, your social capital, and then the money that you make. Now, what we have done, thanks to the validation world that we are living in, we have actually turned it the other way around. We focus on the money in the bank, Then the social relationships, which are also driven by, matlab, how much of this is more transactional rather than transformational. Then comes our physical and our mental health. But if you like, just focus on the fact that, am I in good physical health today for the job that I'm supposed to do? If that's like a tick mark, you are good to go. For those physical health, what are my requirements? Do I drink milk? Not drink milk. Do I have raw fruits? Not have. That is a personal choice that you need to make, because it is based on perspectives rather than our own perceptions, and minus the passion out of it. So are you in good physical health? You're good to go. Am I in good mental health? That is like a great question that is being asked today. Just yesterday, I read this book called Slow Productivity by Carl Newport. It says that, let's get out of this hustle culture as such. Let's focus on only 3 things. Let's obsess over quality rather than quantity. Let's do few things, which is called as nano-tasking versus multitasking, and let's do it at our own pace. Of course, you need a good boss for it if you're in a corporate culture. I do respect it. But are you in good mental health to ensure that by the time the day ends, I think I've lived a good day, right? Third is like how socially accepted you are and how much of social capital do you have? Because in the long run, that is only what is going to matter. At a time when even I used to chase money a lot, and I realized, is it adding value to my life? To an extent, yes, because the ability of money to reduce my sadness is much more than the ability of money to increase my happiness, because happiness is a learned skill.
Yeah.
But do I have social capital today? So in social capital, what I actually focus on, and you may want to consider, is a concept called as ABC. It's called always build communities. Like tomorrow, if I go to the city of Indore, will I have at least 25 good people who will just come and say hello to me? Not because I head a business school or because I work for the central bank, but just we could have conversations. And then from those conversations, let a relationship be formed where business becomes a byproduct of it. So the balance starts in first being in good physical health, then good mental health, then your social capital, and then the cash at bank. If we follow this in this particular linear fashion, I think we live a balanced life. I came across this one particular episode called as The Weight of Gold. It's an HBO classic. It speaks about why is it that we have 197 Olympians who committed suicide.
Really?
197 Olympians. And it's been documented by Michael Phelps himself. He says now, when I look back in time, I'm like, who was I? Was I just like a perpetual fish living inside water more than half my life? Right? Not thinking about anything outside of swimming. Now think about the person who came 7th in that Olympic race. Who knows him? What's his life? He worked equally hard, but nobody knows him. Think about it. Nobody knows. Like say, for example, if you look at sports like badminton versus tennis. Now, everyone knows who is the number 1 tennis player in the world. But do we know who's the number 3 badminton player in the world? All of them are working equally hard. But the thing is that what exactly is your driver? Because once you finish off that passion part of yours, depression hits you. 197 athletes. There are 9 Oscar nominees and winners who committed suicide. So if you have an athlete who participates in Olympics, you have an actor who gets an Oscar, why do they commit suicide? Things are not in balance. Had they been in balance, so many lives would have been saved. So I think it's all about your physical health, then your mental health, then your social capital, and then the cash at bank. You live this life, you are at peace.
Very, very interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What is your perspective on balance?
It's difficult to add anything after what he said, but
Yes, that's how we all feel.
one thing that really came through to me from what he said was that money is better at reducing sadness than improving happiness.
Yeah. It's a very common thing, right? That your life only becomes that much better after a certain number of
Correct.
zeros are added.
And then it's done.
Then it's done, yeah.
Let me ask you a personal question. Once you will reach that milestone of the number that you want to achieve, and I genuinely wish and pray that you do, what will you do with your money? It will go back someday to the society
I think
per se.
what ends up happening is we always talk about people who've made it, and most of us are going to be people who don't make it. So we don't actually know what people who don't make it do with their life, with their time, with their balance. Like our benchmarks are always people who made it, and it's so much easier to compare. But I don't know whether I'm going to make it or no. So how do I answer what I'm going to do with?
That's why I focus on peace and enlightenment.
Yeah.
There comes a tipping point in everyone's life,
So as I said, I'd asked this question at a retreat to a certain set of entrepreneurs, and all of them have a net worth from 2 crores all the way to thousands of crores. All I just use the mudra, put it on your heart and ask yourself one question. Are you at peace? Not even one hand is up. So there was a time when we chased money. I'll not deny that. I come from that era. But then as you evolve, you realize, yes, money is a very important component of life, but you realize it's more about the exchange of energy rather than the exchange of currency. When I add value to your life, right, and you add value to my life, like say, for example, your app adds value to the lives of thousands of people, those testimonials, when they will come to you, automatically money will come to you in your life anyways.
But don't you think people are going to ask this question, kyun? Why do I want to do it? Like, for example, you only feel bad about yourself when somebody else makes you, right? Like you look at somebody else, you feel bad about yourself. But if you're not at a point where you're not feeling bad about yourself, then why even get the concept of balance in your life? Like, why do I not just keep doing what I'm doing?
Then you're centered already. You don't need the concept of
Absolutely.
balance. Life is like a ladder, a vertical ladder, okay? Someone who is at a survival state, he cannot sit and, meditate and say, I want spiritual happiness and energy. He has to focus on putting a roof on his head, putting a roof on his children's head, putting food on everyone's plate. His priorities are very different. Now, his seva is to his family, is to his wife and to his children. That seva is dharam. That is his dharam. Okay? So he's doing what he can do best with the resources that he has. Bravo. Now, when you start achieving certain amount of success, you've now got your own space, be it rented or you've bought it, doesn't matter. Now you have your own space where you have safety and security. Your basic needs have been met. Then you start aspiring for more recognition in the society, validation in the society. I want to be known by people. Why am I a stranger in a room? Then you start seeking that.
Maslow's hierarchy.
Right? But after a certain level comes a tipping point. Where what you have doesn't give you any more happiness. Then you start seeking other avenues of happiness, like, Jackie Chan did. Now, sorry, not Jackie Chan. Who's the one who's chosen to donate almost like $40 million of his wealth, one of the actors. At a certain tipping point, you realize that the money that you have doesn't give you happiness anymore. And then you start seeking other avenues of happiness, and then you find that the process of giving gives you more happiness. We're still in a state of transaction though. There's no such thing as selfless charity, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, you're still in a state of transaction. You're giving something in return, you're getting some happiness. When you finally arrive at a state of no transaction, is when you've really achieved everything. We're all work in progress. But where are you? You need to evaluate. So instead of comparing yourself to someone who's like way up in the ladder, let's compare myself to what I was the previous day.
Absolutely.
That's a better way of looking at it. It takes away the pressure. It takes away the pressure. Like, if someone's watching this podcast and is, preparing for the 12th boards, I don't want them to think about spirituality right now. I want them to think about the 12th boards and clear it and make your parents happy because they have certain expectations from you, right?
And I don't know who said this. Somebody had said this to me. They said that spirituality is easy, it's forgiving, and it's inclusive.
Yeah.
It's one of the best feelings someone can experience because it is very, very, very chill. See, everything comes back
to that.
Levels
This is
down.
that, right? This is literally just
Add
one of us to
forgiving,
chill.
there's one more word. You have to forgive and forget
Yeah.
for the real spiritual progression to happen. Because there's a matrix that can come out of it. See, for example, if you have forgiven someone but not forgotten, then you are in a state of resentment.
Correct.
Right? If you have forgiven someone but not forgotten, then there's a term called as baby elephant syndrome, where you're perpetually living in the past that determines your present, that influences the future. So only when you forgive and forget is when you move on in life. And moving on doesn't mean that, you give up. Moving on means you're looking forward to the next best thing that is happening to you. That's it. But if you neither forgive nor forget, then you're lost.
But the idea and the concept of spirituality in general is very subjective. I believe that there's no blanket approach to spirituality. So what is spirituality to all of you individually? We'll start with you.
So first, let's differentiate between religion and spirituality.
Very important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because this is like one thing I think we all need some clarity about. So I believe the difference between religion and spirituality is that of a banana. The fruit of which is called as spirituality, the skin is called as religion, and we always slip on the skin. Right?
Yeah.
So religion is nothing but following a set of protocols which are nothing but driven by a certain set of rituals that gives you a positive outcome that takes you closer to a deity that you worship. Right? Spirituality is nothing but raising your consciousness, and consciousness is nothing but awareness plus acceptance. Right? Am I aware of my external world and how I react and respond to it? Am I aware of my internal world and how I react and respond to it? And how do I make myself a better person in that journey? So how do we even measure whether our spiritual journey has started? First is, I think the law of detachment starts to hit you in.
Yeah.
You just start to understand the difference between attachment and detachment. The root of all suffering is always attachment. Attachment is driven by fear, lack, doubt, and desperation. Right? While detachment is completely driven by trust, and you know that something good will happen in the long run. So you trust the process and you start living an abundant mindset. So when we speak about the Maslow's hierarchy over here, at each stage, whether you are at the survival stage, where you're looking at your physiological needs, or whether you are self-actualized, what is the mindset in which you are? You start having an abundant mindset, your journey of spirituality starts. You are becoming detached, your journey starts. I think a driver becomes kindness and compassion, right? You start looking at things from absolutely equanimity perspective, where everyone is just an equal at the end of the day, and they are just putting in their contribution to the world for whatever they should not expect to come back, right? And most importantly, I think your spiritual journey starts when you want it to start, right? So it should not be that, at the age of 7 your journey starts. It could start at the age of 70 also. It may not even start, because we are all on our timelines at the end of the day. So one of the things that I've seen in spirituality is stop the validation process, because comparison does not help. Trump took over at 70 while Obama retired at 48.
Yeah.
Everyone is on their timelines, no? But as long as your driver towards life is to just become a better person, right? And you just know that kindness and compassion is the way forward. And you don't validate anything in life. You are fine, good for you. I wish you well. So today if someone would come and tell me, I saw a man fly, I'm like, good for you. Tu bhi ud jao uske saath. Good for you.
Have you had a tryst with spirituality, especially during your recovery process?
Yes, I know exactly what it means to me. Spirituality gives me the ability to remain calm, be at ease, and chill out.
Chill, that's the 10th time.
That's it. That to me is spirituality. And I don't think I'm evolved enough to be able to put more words to this concept. And I'm happy with where I am right now. And I feel different compared to who I was before and who I am today. And I think that is a very nice feeling. And I think that is spirituality.
Because you're not judging yourself.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. That's why we say the ability to observe without judgment is the highest form of enlightenment.
Yeah. In the break, you were saying that there's something that's divine timing. You trust the divine timing, because you get so many questions asking, I want to find a partner, I want to meet the love of my life, etc. And you have a lot of interesting questions, but you said divine timing. And I want to ask, how then does manifestation feature in this process? If everything is divine timing, then why not just be? Then why be like, I want to manifest this? Why have desire? Why have expectation out of your manifestation? Because everybody who's manifesting something is doing it out of expectation. Isn't it a dichotomy?
Absolutely. Now it's about the school of thought that you align with. So something is driven by destiny, and then something is driven by design. Now manifestation is purely driven by the design of the life that you are seeking, and then are you in the vibration where the destiny is like bringing that thing, person or circumstance in your life. Like if you spoke about it, okay, there is something like the subconscious mind, and then there is the conscious mind which works on logic. The subconscious mind works on feeling. Now if I want to manifest a Lamborghini, it's not going to be like somebody just going to leave the Lamborghini just outside my home. I'm just going to manifest, be at that vibration where I meet fellow people who have either earned a Lamborghini, or I create opportunities where automatically things, people and circumstances that takes me closer towards it are going to happen, right? Now what exactly is divine timing? So this is going to be a little bit about the karma theory that we speak about. So there are like 4 types of karmas we all go through in our lives. So one is called as a Sanchita karma. Now Sanchita karma is the sum total of all the thoughts, all the feelings, all the actions that you have taken across lifetimes. It is stored somewhere in the cosmos, right? A part of it is something that you have to live in this life. It is called as your prarabdha karma, right? How do you come to know what your prarabdha karmas are? It's very simple. Just sit in a silent part of your home, be completely silent again, and for 10 minutes, just look at all the recurring incidences that have happened in your life, right? If those incidences are recurring, then there is a pattern which you have to go through in your life per se, right? That is the prarabdha karma that is there. Now, these 2 things are not in your hands. But what is in your hands is the next set of karmas, which is called as Agami karma and Kriyamani karma. So Kriyamani karma is how do I react or respond to my prarabdha karma, right? And the outcome of that is my Kriyamani karma, the next set of karmas that I am generating, right? So divine timing is about the things, people and circumstances will come definitely because you're destined to see that. But how are you going to like react or respond to it is definitely a choice of manifestation. So that's why we said there's a concept called as Brahmasmi, right? That means there is a universe inside of you. But that's why we said there's Brahmasmi Tattvamasi. I manifested you because you manifested me. And only in that alignment is the divine timing where things, people and circumstances come into your life. So one has to believe in the fact that there is destiny. So destiny is what happens to you. Manifestation is how you react or respond to it. So that's why we say manifestation is a very effortless process. The only thing is that when you try to bring the hustle culture into it, it's not going to happen. So as ma'am very rightly said, manifestation doesn't mean that you are like on a pillow and you are like just going to manifest. No. Manifestation starts with the intention, right? Without an expectation, driven by a detachment, driven by an inspired action. When you do these things, things will automatically fall into your place. So it is always going to be a combination of the two things, and which school of thought do you align yourself more with? That is how things actually.
What do you mean by intention, inspired action, all of these things that a lot of people talk about, but most people consuming this knowledge don't really understand it, especially in their context, right? These are all very complicated terms for people who have not read as much as you probably on this topic. What does it mean?
So let's say intention is the adverb, so intent is the verb, right? So intent is the thought that is going to be there for the action that I will eventually take, and what's the reasoning behind it, right? So if you want to create an app, as I said, what was your intention behind it? If you want to make money, that's your intention. Or you want to like serve the society at large, that's your intention. So it is more about the why behind the what rather than the how behind the why per se. So everything starts with the law of intent, because intent is the first impulse that activates the action in your life. So why are you doing this? That's why we say it's not about what do people do, what do they do. It is about why do people do, what do they do. So once your why is clear, that is there. So we speak about action and then we speak about inspired action. The only difference between the two is happiness. Are you happy to do it? Like say for example, you said that you switched from being a doctor to starting this organization. Why did you do that? Because you had some sense of happiness around it, right? If someone were to tell you that, okay, become a commercial pilot, though it may sound very, very fascinating, you may not have the happiness or the pleasure of flying an aircraft, right? So you may not want to do that. So inspired action is just happiness. Does it give you some kind of pleasure? Is it something that you enjoy to do, right? You know, at one point in time when we had BlackBerry phones, the moment you switch it on, it had a beautiful signal to it. Do what you love what you do. That's inspired action. So there has to be the component of happiness to it. And then of course, a larger purpose has to solve it, because you are like, you know, appealing to the mass at large. So that is what this entire concept is all about. So as I said, intent is the first impulse that activates the action, and happiness associated to it is an inspired action.
Yeah. All of these concepts, right? Whether it's surrendering, whether it's be in this state, can add like added pressure to people, which is what we discussed. How do people know what works best for them or what feels good to them? Because even that's confusing.
It's trial and error.
Absolutely trial and error.
It has to be.
Yeah.
That's the universal law. Experimentation and non-stagnation. That's just the way it is.
It is, yeah.
You have to put yourself in there.
Yeah. So I've grappled with so many different schools of thought, grappled with so many different practices that I've done. And now I know what works for me. Like I know, like somebody may say wake up at 5 in the morning, but it's just too early. I can't do it.
Yeah.
It's like I try to be a part of the 5 a.m. club, but it's too early for me. So I do like 6 or 6:15, and it feels good and it works for me.
So you know, Karishma, here we actually speak about two concepts called as affinity versus disdain. So affinity is a natural liking without a reason. So if I naturally like you, I'm definitely going to follow what you are doing in life, because there is a sense of affinity to it. And there is the opposite of that called as disdain, which is a natural disliking without a reason.
Yeah.
So if I have a disdain, I'm not going to follow you.
Yeah.
See, if you look at the Indian cricket team, right? Upar se leke niche tak, everyone is brilliant, right?
Yeah, you're on the top 11.
Absolutely brilliant. But I may like Virat Kohli, someone may like Rohit Sharma, someone may go to see Rohit Sharma, right? He's the hitman. Yeah. But I may want to see Virat Kohli. No, for me, all I get from him is discipline and work ethics, because that is what I resonate with. So different strokes for different folks. As long as you are able to achieve what you want in life and using these wise people in your life as an affinity rather than looking them as disdain. Yeah. Because then you end up judging, then not your spiritual evolution, because you just judge someone's ability to achieve their goals. So it's an affinity. You start liking something, just go for it, no? Like if I want to come out of a certain illness and Ayurveda is something that is like I would like to go for, I'm naturally pulled towards it. So I may not want to go for allopathy, but that does not mean allopathy is bad or homeopathy is great. It's just, and I think we are all at that stage in our life where energy moves very fast in the Kali Yuga. Very fast. In the first 7 seconds, we actually know whether we want that thing or we don't. That's how the neural pathways are there, right? Unfortunately, we even form opinions about people in the first 7 seconds we meet them. That's a perception. What's a perception? It's an opinion minus data. But I still go towards it because there's an affinity towards it. That's it.
Wow. That happened during the
That
pandemic.
was crazy again.
But that happened during the pandemic also. We were all like tumbling around in a washing machine.
Yeah.
And karma was being delivered very, very fast to everybody. We had to eat our own cake. If you had been engaging in a lot of, deviations and distractions in your life, and suddenly pandemic hit you, and those deviations and distractions were suddenly becoming the bane of your life. You were not able to sustain yourself at home because you were used to those social distractions, right? Someone who had invested in their health all through their life were able to sail through the pandemic without any retribution or without any damages, right? So we witnessed it happen, the pandemic, whether it was man-made or whether it was natural, that's like a different debate altogether. But it delivered karma really quickly.
Absolutely.
And karma is like a very spiritual word. If I had to break it down for today's generation, it's a boomerang. If you want to understand karma. If I throw negative energy or, like you said, disdain at something,
It is going to hit you back.
It's going to hit me back, right?
Yeah.
So karma is like a boomerang. I'm the co-creator of this universe. I will only receive what I have vibrated. So can I be conscious of the frequencies that I'm emitting from our body? The vibrational frequencies can be positive, negative, or neutral, right? Compassion, passion, kindness, love, all of this is positive. Envy, jealousy, greed, lust, all of this is going to be negative. So if I can label my emotions every single day, it is an easier way. You're not judging yourself. You're not being harsh on yourself. You're not being biased to yourself. You're not punishing yourself. How could you be jealous of that other person? No, instead of saying, how could you be, can you observe your emotions as a third person, label it, and ask yourself, why did I feel deprived? Why did I feel like I was more deserving of it than the other person? Why did I feel like I was being, subjected to bias? If you can label your emotions, write it down, you become more conscious about what you're emitting, what you're feeling, what you're thinking, and then you truly become the master of your body, mind, and soul.
Yeah.
You observe and you label it, and don't judge yourself, don't punish yourself. That's not your job.
Yeah. So this next segment is the Invest in You segment, because to truly live it up, investing in yourself is essential. So from nourishing your body to managing your finances. In fact, every time I use the HSBC Live Plus credit card, I get 1.5% unlimited cash back on every swipe. So how can we make the best investments in ourselves? What tool, habit, or experience can unlock growth and alignment in our lives?
You'll have to repeat the question.
What tool, is there a tool, a habit, or an experience that can unlock growth and alignment in our lives?
I think what she just mentioned, labeling your emotions, I think is going to be that crazy tool. And I'm going to try it myself. The concept feels so wholesome that you experience different emotions, and instead of ridiculing yourself for feeling something, you go back, analyze what you felt, why you felt, and then what was inspired actions towards trying to make that better. That is going to be my answer.
Powerful, huh? Reaffirms it. Now better go practice.
So there are too many tools that are like spoken about. When you speak about karma, so karma is also a combination of unlearned lessons and unfinished business. So when you really go deep inside and realize, there are certain lessons I still need to learn, and the universe is actually showing me that these are the lessons, and if I still don't get into that acceptance mode, the universe is then going to like knock you off. So one of the things that I learned in my recent time, that post-COVID, the next pandemic that has hit us is called as blame. I think we as a society are just blaming. We blame the government, then we blame the society, we blame our parents, we blame our kids, we blame our teachers. Let's start first taking accountability for the actions that we are destined for. So the way you think should be exactly the way you feel, should be exactly the way you speak, and the exact action should be there. So once you start taking accountability for whatever is there out there, I think life becomes fairly simple. And the next tool, or probably the only tool that I have started to practice, is now just living in this present moment, which is called as being mindful. Because I just realized that the mind oscillates in these three stages: past, present, and future. Now, more often than not, the mind is either in the past or it is in the future. Not too much of past related to my stress is giving me clinical depression. Too much of future driven by anxiety and fear is putting me into a state which I know is going to happen or not going to happen, because time is also illusion. So the past becomes over exaggerated, the future becomes overestimated, and the present becomes undervalued. So if I'm here, am I enjoying this moment? Because only in this present moment can I manifest happiness. So it's very important that we just live in this moment. So in this moment, podcast, wonderful 3 people, an excellent team, Starbucks, what else do I want? Think about it holistically. What else do I want?
Yeah.
Maybe
I'm getting
one
to
more Starbucks.
Please. Now, if you look at Starbucks also, the first line of the book Starbucks Experience says, we are not in the coffee business serving people, but we are in the people business serving coffee. Business model changes.
Yeah.
So if I'm in this moment, enjoying the company of so many amazing people and with 2 Starbucks now, what else do I want in life? So enjoy, chill. 16th time. Chill.
Chill.
What about you? Is there any one particular tool or exercise?
So the last 1 month has been a lot of introspection for me, a lot of self-inquiry, and a critical way, okay? And then I found this one powerful line that stayed by me. And I know you agree with it because I know you practice it too. It's a line that is said by the 24th Tirthankar, Lord Mahavir, who was the last guru of the Jain philosophy and religion, or spirituality as you might call it. And he said, no man is an island. So I was trying to isolate myself in the luxury and the comfort of my home to write my book or to, go through my thoughts. And I was like, wait, my learning is not coming from here. No man is an island. It means that the clothes that I'm wearing was not made by me. The food that I ate today was not grown by me. There was a farmer who toiled several hours under the sun, gave us sweat and blood, and probably slept hungry several days to grow that one morsel of grain. And that grain, I'm lucky and privileged to have it on my plate.
Wow.
Okay, luxury and money can be bought. Money can help you buy luxury and all of it. But there are certain privileges that you can't buy. Like for me to be able to go to Mahakumbh without having that intention of it, someone pulling me there, was a privilege and a blessing of its own. And I'm not going to question it or feel guilty about it. Nor am I going to analyze and dissect it. I'm just going to be very, very grateful. So the food I eat, the sun that shines upon me, the planets that rise, and revolve around us, the stars, the moon, everything performs a job for you, despite the fact that you might not have acknowledged it. We're not acknowledging the sun god every single morning saying, thank you for rising for me. We might sometimes curse and abuse saying, why is it so sunny? I hate it. The sun still rises and sets every single day. There's still oxygen. There's still Mother Nature providing abundance. If there's one emotion that vibrates at the highest possible frequency that human beings can experience, is gratitude along with love. Okay? Now, love doesn't have to be something that you experience for another person. Love can be for yourself. Self-love, right? Gratitude vibrates at 540 MHz. If you really want to decode the mysteries of this universe, like Tesla said, think in terms of energy, vibration, and frequency. And gratitude allows you to vibrate that at frequency, which allows you to experience physical, mental, emotional, energetic, spiritual health. So gratitude is one of the most important tools in my life that I discovered. And day before yesterday, I wrote down 9. I was trying to write 100 things that I'm grateful for in full sentences, not single words. To feel it, express it, and then write it, not just write it mechanically. I probably wrote 96 or 97, and by then a lot of miracles started happening. I started attracting a lot of events in my life, which I probably didn't know I deserved, right? So gratitude is one. Second tool that really has started working wonders for me is, just like how you're the co-creators of this universe, you're also self-destructive. Nobody's hurting you. Nobody is damaging you. Nobody is trying to put you down. It's you who's destroying yourself. Find out that one vice inside of you that's attracting those negative events. It could be something as simple as greed or anger or lust. There are 18 negative emotions in total. I found that one emotion, it was something as simple as feeling angry when something wrong is being done in front of me. Why should I feel angry? Why can't I just embrace the moment as is without questioning it? The moment I realized I was self-destructive, I was the one destroying myself, and I was the one co-creating my universe, that shifted. So you embrace one virtue and also figure out a vice that you want to give up for 30 days at a time.
Yeah.
Don't push yourself. Don't break yourself. 30 days, I'm not going to get angry. 30 days, I'm going to express gratitude and see how things change.
That's a helpful tool.
I know you practice it too.
Yeah.
So I said, you'll resonate with it. And
So one of the ways by which you can remain in perpetual gratitude, right, is an exercise that I very strongly follow, that my phone always has this message, why am I always happy? Right? So we say we touch the phone 400 times a day. I'm sure nobody has counted it. And you just see that statement, why am I always happy? You will say because the word because connects between the subconscious and the conscious, and I am. So because I am blessed to have this coffee, because I am blessed to make new friends today, because I am blessed that at least I have a car and a chauffeur that brought me safe here. Even if you do that 40, 50, 60 times a day, you are vibing so high.
Yeah.
You know, you automatically, it gets into that parallel reality, and you have shifted your identity as if you are someone who's just so grateful for everything. And the second tool over here is called as a gratitude walk. Generally, we express gratitude by sitting in a room, so we are only limited to the environment of this particular room. But if you were to step outside and walk in nature on the beach, you start expressing great gratitude to nature also, because we always take it for granted.
Yeah. These are really, these are hacks.
Absolutely, they are hacks.
Yeah. Okay, amazing.
And they help you to chill.
Okay, we'll take the next question. What's one small sustainable change we can make to our daily routine for long-term benefits? So we've covered gratitude, we've covered things around gratitude again. What is one small sustainable habit that we can change in our routine, in our daily routine?
So here, there's a concept called the mirror principle. It can help you to manifest things really fast. So if you just take a post-it and just write down certain things over there. Like say, for example, before coming to this meeting, if I were to express gratitude that I've already enjoyed this meeting with these new friends and team and humans of Bombay itself, by speaking inside the mirror, and there is a post-it that substantiates it. Like, I am enjoying the day today because I'm healthy, wealthy, wise, and looking forward to a greater life. So the more you look into the mirror, right, that's how the reality gets reflected, because what you are is an image, what you see is a reflection. Right, there will be a slight delay, but if you have a post-it over there on the mirror itself and you keep on reading it, right, trust me, a lot of good things will start happening to you from day one itself.
And it's very doable.
Absolutely, it's very easy. One post-it, one affirmation. If you want to make it even faster, if you want to start talking to your subconscious mind, then use the non-dominant hand and start brushing your teeth and look into the left eye. Straight away, the subconscious mind opens up.
Yeah, there's this thing that I was working with Dr. Karishma Mehta on, and she made me write this sentence with my left hand.
Exactly.
10 times every single day, and it was so challenging, but I did it consistently. I think for around 60 days I was constantly writing with my left hand, and it's insane. I would have never believed it, and I was just like, why are you making me do this? She's like, because I just want you to be so engaged in what you're trying to do. And whatever it is that we were working on, it appeared in my life.
Absolutely.
I would never ever, I'm telling you, I was like, what is this going to do? And of course, it was a combination of different things, right? Like I was drinking out of a blue solar charged water, which I still do. I had a water by my bedside that I was changing a few times a day because of the energy that was there. And this was just a combination of different things that I was doing. But that left hand and non-dominant hand
exercise miracles
changed it.
So there are two components to it. One, it definitely makes you ambidextrous.
Yeah. I couldn't read it.
That was just a joke.
Yeah.
Actually, by doing that, your conscious and subconscious becomes one.
Yeah. So she kind of made me forced me into just being there.
Because you're forcing yourself to do it, right? That's when the bridge between the conscious and subconscious just becomes one, and things manifest really fast.
Yeah. Okay. What about you? One thing that we can do in our daily routine?
I think just sit with yourself for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I think that's the smallest start someone can start making.
Yeah.
And again, it comes from my personal experiences. I've started doing that, and it really, really helps. The point is not to fade away all your thoughts for those 10 minutes. That's not possible. Your brain doesn't function that way. It's not possible to not think something for even a second. It doesn't work that way. It's just about trying to focus on one constant, and I think that one constant that every human being has is their breath, and that is something that is on, off continuously. So for those 10 minutes, just focus on getting your focus back onto your breath. Let the thoughts flow. Do it for 10 minutes and keep doing it.
Yeah. Okay. And what about you? One small change in their daily routine.
So, we all need an anchor in our life. We're like the boat that's floating in the ocean, right? So if you can find your anchor, that really helps. How do we find an anchor? Harvard says it takes about 66 days to make one habit. Some say it takes 21 days, right? So it could be either. You can pick one ritual and you promise yourself that no matter what, you will not break that ritual for the next 21 days or next 66 days. And just to give an example of how that helped, okay, like how, writing with the left hand really helped you. At one point in time in 2022, until then I never had social media presence. But something happened in my mind and I said, all that stuff that I've read, I want to document it somewhere. So no matter what, no matter how difficult it is, I'll record one video per day for 60 seconds and release it, whether people watch it or not. Doesn't matter, right? Some days it took me 3-4 hours to record that video because learning how to use my phone was a challenge. I was like, technically disabled. Learning how to, read all the content, the contradictions in advance, write your content, edit the video, post it. Sometimes it took me 3-4 hours, sometimes it took me 10 minutes. But because I promised myself that no matter what, I will not go to sleep without recording a video and posting it. So there was a time, Diwali, we had to go do the Diwali puja in office and at home, and it became 1 o'clock. And I was like, how do I go to sleep? At 2 in the morning, I recorded and released that video. It didn't matter if people saw it or not. And by some strange coincidence of the universe, maybe I was vibrating that specific energy of abundance. The universe decided to reward it. And in August, things went crazy on our social media page. It went viral. And it went from 10,000 to 100K to 200 to 400K in a fortnight. Wow. So my sister-in-law sent us a cake for 100K celebration. We cut it when we touched 400K. It turned stale in 3 days, but we had to wait those 3 days because we didn't have the time for the whole team to be there to cut that cake. So we cut a stale cake. So one ritual is like an anchor. If you find yourself getting anxious and depressed and worried and feeling yourself, being bipolar and torn between two ends of the world, materialism and spiritualism, doesn't matter. Pick one ritual and promise yourself no matter what, you'll not break that ritual for 21 days. And if you cross 21, make it 66. And then that becomes part of your personality.
Okay, amazing. We'll take the last one. What's one thing you should remove from your daily routine to be more aligned?
As I said, I think one thing that we can stop is stop the protesting business. I think we as human beings in the Kali Yuga have just got into that path of evolution where we just tend to blame anyone and everyone for anything and everything that's around us. So let's just start taking personal accountability by stop playing the blame game. Whatever work we do, look at it as a purpose rather than as an activity.
Yeah.
Right? So if I were to just call myself, I go to a college and I teach, then that's an activity. But if I get an opportunity to stand in front of young entrepreneurs and there is so much I get to learn and share my experiences with them, I think it just helps me to grow as a person. So whatever activities that we do, let's call it as a purpose rather than just as any other action.
Okay. What about you?
I think stop being overly critical of yourself. That is one thing that you must stop. There is no timeline. There is no race. None of that exists. It only exists in your head. Get out of it. You live a much more peaceful life.
Very nice. Beautiful. Beautiful.
What about you?
I would say remove the blinds. Be open to all kinds of experiences. Don't, trap yourself into a small box based on your perception and past experiences. Remove the blinds, and life is going to be an adventure that is going to teach you so many things that you didn't expect to learn.
Okay, amazing. I'm going to now come into the last segment before we close, where I'm going to ask you for recipes. It's not traditional recipes for the most of it, but your recipe for success, given all your knowledge, right? You have so much knowledge on the metaphysical, on manifestation, but you also coach entrepreneurs, you coach leaders to become the best version of themselves. But if you were to narrow it down to 3 things people can do to lead a more successful life in whichever context, what would it be?
I think the more we read, the more we lead. Right? So I would be very happy if all of us as a race start reading at least few pages a day of any book that is pulling you towards it. Because I think the moment you start reading, it helps you to build so many perspectives around not only what the author is saying, but your entire life becomes a flashback at that point in time. That's one. 2, I think it's very important that we eat and breathe very mindfully and consciously. Right? Because I have observed that in many corporate cultures also, that whenever you're having your food, I think your boss becomes your favorite topic during lunchtime. So why don't you just eat in a very nice manner, because that food is energy. Someone, or maybe yourself, has made it with a lot of compassion and love, rather than the packaged food, that comes to us. So I think if you were to just eat mindfully, breathe mindfully, I think that. And 3rd, I think in life, we succeed or we learn. There's nothing called as a failure. So it's like, to strive to make a difference in your own creative way is truly to be successful in the life you live each day. So life's battles are not always won by the stronger, the faster man, but sooner or later the man who wins is the man who thinks he can. So if you think you will lose, you are lost. For out in this world we find that success begins with a fellow's will. It's all in the state of mind.
Wow.
So simple.
When you say it, it's simple.
Yeah.
Okay, for you I have 2. The first, we'll talk about mental health. not a recipe, but what can people do to be more aware and cognizant that mental health is even important in the context of mind, body, and soul?
I think just take it like a mandate that human beings still don't understand everything about themselves, and there are people who have been through much more, and these people are coming out and sparing their time, and they're telling you that there is an element of your life that you still haven't explored, and if you did explore it, you're going to live a more meaningful life, probably an easier life. And then one aspect is understanding that mental health is real. And once you have that understanding, read, learn, experience, because that is going to become one of the most enriching experiences of your life. And that is coming from a non-believer. I don't believe in religion. I never believed in spirituality. I was basically as, mainstream as people get.
Yeah.
And I am telling you from my personal experiences that mental health is real and it has the power to change a lot.
Wow. Okay. And now I'm going to go back to something that I have to ask you. A simple recipe that nourishes the body.
It can be anything, right?
Anything.
I think I firmly believe in procrastination. And the reason I believe in it is because it gives you the ability to step back, see it from another perspective, and then react, or rather respond. So procrastinate wisely. Another thing I firmly believe in is, surround yourself with people that are better than you. Because, and when I say better, it doesn't really need to be better looking or better, smart or whatever. I just mean people who have experienced a lot more than you. Because you are never going to be the smartest person in the room. I think that's a realization that everybody should start having. That
And if you are, you're in the wrong room.
you aren't. Like,
Yeah.
you just aren't. And
Yeah.
if you're measuring smartness on just one parameter, then you haven't opened your mind up to all the other parameters that are available. So I think be humble, be stupid,
Yeah.
chill out.
Chill out.
I think just you've got one life, man.
Yeah.
Like you can't be, I don't know, it's difficult to put it in words, but you've got one life. You need to do things for you because you love yourself. You need to do things for your parents because you love them, for your loved ones. And in trying to do so many things, you really need to find balance and harmony, because otherwise you're going to go crazy. So
You just interviewed Abhay Deol, who said, "Ye zindagi wapas nahi milegi."
ये जिंदगी वापस नहीं मिलेगी.
I
Cherish
think to summarize what you
Yeah.
were trying to say. And the third, and this is going to be a direct recipe. I want a recipe from you. A simple, no BS recipe that people can do that's good for them, that people can use that's good for them.
Like a food recipe.
Food Darzi.
Yeah, food therapy. Come on.
Uh,
Why did you do this? I was not asking about jalebi recipe.
I don't know, man. You've caught me off guard because
Simple, just simple. And that's like low maintenance, but it's healthy.
okay, curd, fruit, nuts.
Okay.
I looked at Dimple while saying it, but I believe it. Curd, fruit, nut. It's got everything that you need.
Really?
Yes,
And that's a simple thing that people can include in their diet that's good for them.
absolutely.
Okay.
It's genuinely got everything that you need. Fat, proteins, carbs, vitamins, minerals, water, everything.
Okay. And now.
Okay, so I'm not going to contradict anything because I've learned how to embrace things as is, right? What works for one may not work for another person. So why not? Recipe for success or recipe for the physical body?
So Dr. Dimple, I don't always get time to cook elaborate meals because of my schedule. So for things like meal prepping, I make sure to stock up on groceries. And with my HSBC Live Plus credit card, it's even better because I get a 10% off on all my grocery spends. But when time is short, what's your go-to quick and healthy recipe?
Recipe for the gut. This is like a no-brainer for me. Moong dal khichdi, hands down.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just 8 portions of your moong dal, which has all the protein that you need, and it's easiest protein to digest amongst all other lentils, beans, pulses, meat, seafood, everything that you find. This is one that gets really absorbed very quickly in your bloodstream. So when someone's sick or hospitalized, the first thing we give them is either moong dal pani or a soup or boiled vegetables or fruits. We don't give them pizza with ham on top of it, right? So we give them this. So moong dal, okay, your green lentil that is, and then you have your sona masuri rice. You can choose brown rice, red rice, black rice, Japanese rice, risotto rice, doesn't matter. Choose a choice of carb. Here it's 12 portions of carbs and 8 portions of protein. If you're weak in digestion, and lots of vegetables, 5 to 7 different vegetables. Now the color of vegetable is so powerful. Every vegetable has a specific color that contributes to a specific function in the body. For example, carrot and beetroot and spinach, the red and the green color contributes to the heme, to the iron in your body, right? So improves your energy levels immediately. Lots of vegetables, and if you are vegetarian, you can add a dollop of ghee. If you're a vegan, you can even add plant-based butter to it, like cashew butter, coconut butter, almond butter. Even coconut oil is fine, olive oil, avocado oil, doesn't matter. One portion of that. And some simple spices that you like. It could be turmeric, it could be pepper, cumin, fennel, coriander. These are powerhouses of nutrients, vitamins, and minerals. They have phytonutrients, which gets absorbed really quickly in the body. They stimulate your metabolic fire and your digestion. So hands down, it's my moong dal khichdi. Okay. In times of celebration and times of not such good moments, I would always choose a khichdi.
Okay, great. So we've covered mind and body, and we'll close the episode with soul. So a one-line advice that you'd like to give people. And I say one line because I feel like people often are contemplative on context. We leave the context to them. What have you received or what you've given?
So there's this one very
people?
powerful concept which you can apply on a daily basis. It's called TMI. From the time you start your day to the time you end your day, can you either touch, motivate, or inspire one person? I think you'll live a good life.
Yeah. Okay.
Touch, motivate, inspire.
Yeah. What about you?
I'm out.
No. Chill out.
My brain is
Overstimulated.
overstimulated right now. But one line from what I've learned from today: be a sponge.
Yeah, like there's so much to learn.
There's so much to
and
learn.
So many different
Be a
perspectives.
sponge.
Okay.
This is such deja vu. That's a line from my second book that's coming out. We are like a sponge. First, you need to squeeze out the excess and the toxins, and then become open to new experiences. So you can absorb everything that's around you. So, this is like such a deja vu conversation. It's like it has already happened inside my head before. But if I had to say in one line, no man is an island. Express gratitude for who you are, where you are, what you do, and be open. Be open and embrace it in silence, because when we speak, we cannot listen and learn. You can do only one at a time. So when you listen is when you learn.
Yeah.
So silence for me and gratitude.
Okay, amazing. Thank you all for being a
Thank you so
part
much,
of this.
Karishma.
It was so fascinating, and like he said, like
Oh, but we
don't
should
take
have
anything
one
We all
line
chilled
from
in
you,
it.
Karishma. We should have one line from you. You have much to
I
share.
always say it is what it is, and this too will pass. So,
So let's
that's,
chill.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
it
Let's
is what it
chill.
is. Yeah, there's no point. You relinquish control, and a lot of things fall into place. So
Beautiful.
That's what I.
But thank you for having us.
No,
Like,
thank you.
so much,
It's been
Karishma. Thank you so
amazing.
much.
This was
And we
wonderful.
hope we add a lot of value, and we'll see you on the next one. As always, I hope Realign added value to your life, and if it did, please like, share, and subscribe. Every time you do that, it helps our channel grow.